What I've got here today is an Echo GT 2103 grass trimmer. It's very similar to the GT 1100 as well. Now the problem with this machine is that it bogs down. I've tried adjusting the carb many times and there's still a problem. So I adjusted the two screws down here, the low and the high, and this is for the idling, and to no avail. So I'm going to take the carburetor off and check the diaphragms in there. So first start by removing the air breather cover. Just one screw is going to come off. Next you'll need to remove these two screws here with a Phillips screwdriver. So you can pull this cover off the carb. Next remove the throttle cable from the carburetor, so just basically push out the cable like that and lift up, and that's off. All that's left to remove now is the fuel line. So usually just by simply twisting it'll come off. Now a closer look at this carb shows it's a Zama carburetor made in China. And if you look right down inside this hole here, it says C1U. So that's the series of carburetor. And the exact model number of the carb here is a K12 19A. So when you go get a carb kit, you need these letters here and these digits here as well. Now just take your carburetor apart. Here's the metering diaphragm. This diaphragm here looks good. It's nice and soft and it's round. So I'm not going to replace this one. Next I'll pick apart the other side. Now just simply remove this whole cover. And this is the pump diaphragm. I can tell there's a problem with this diaphragm because the tabs should be shut flat on the body of the carb to seal the holes. And for some reason, they're just sticking up like that. That's probably from wear and tear or from sitting around a lot. So I'm going to replace this. Now you look at the rest of your carb. If it's dirty, spray carb cleaner in there, all these holes. Make sure this screen here is clean in there. It may look clean, but it may have varnicized gas on it and the fuel's not going to flow through it. If you were to replace the needle and the lever here, you would simply remove the screw over here. You don't have to remove the screw totally. Then watch when you pull it, there's a spring underneath. Don't want to lose that. A good way to know if this little screen is plugged is you can put a hose in there and blow on it. Once you've removed the needle here, the fuel goes through here, then to the needle. So if you can blow on it, you know it's clean. I did that, it's clean. You could also remove these two screws and spray carb cleaner into them to make sure this little hole here is unplugged. And that's about it. There's not a heck of a lot to them. You don't need to remove this Welsh plug unless your carburetor's been sitting in the rain or it's corroded inside. But sometimes it's just impossible to completely clean them and you have to put a new carburetor on. So now I'm going to reinstall all the diaphragms on there and show you how to do that. The first thing we're going to reinstall is the metering lever and the needle. It's going to stick the spring back into its hole here. Make sure the spring is upright like that. Make sure you've got your needle in the lever like that. Insert it in there. Don't lose the spring. The spring has to connect on the little hump there under the lever right here. And once you've got it in place and the pin's there, just tighten up the screw. Don't over tighten because it can easily strip. Now you basically want the metering lever here approximately flush with the base of the carb. That's good enough. If you bend it down, it's going to run leaner. If you bend it up, it's going to run richer. Now, if you've got the Zama carburetor like I do, it's a C1U K16. More than likely you're going to need this RB21. That includes the needle, diaphragms, and all the hardware. The GND16, all it has are the diaphragms. Most of the time, all you need is the GND16 to get by. Install is the metering diaphragm, and if you bought a new kit, they're going to come separate. There'll be a gasket and then the metering diaphragm. Always put the gasket on first and then the metering diaphragm on top of that. And now line up the holes here. They only go one way. And now I'll put the screws back on. Make sure you tighten up the cover evenly, so I'll just snug one end and then tighten up the other end and then tighten up the other screw. What this does is it puts on the cover evenly and prevents air leaks or fuel leaks. Now for the pump side, you would have a gasket like this, and you would put this on first to your cover like that. Now I have another diaphragm to replace the old one, and it's made of a thin plastic, and I would reinsert this one on the cover as well. They only go in one way because all the holes will line up just like that. So now you could grab your cover, keep it upside down like this, and insert the side with the throttle mechanism toward the screw here. And you may want to depress this a bit when you do it. Makes it a bit easier to put on. And now just line up the holes till it locks in, until you get it locked in like that. Now just reinsert the two screws, and again tighten up the cover evenly. And there you go, it's ready to be put back on. Make sure that this gasket here is good before you reinstall it.